there's a point where you will look at what you see in the world and address it for what it is. Especially when dealing with evil people, whether they have mental issues or not. What people are willing to do to one another when they're either possessed by something to do evil, or they lose a couple marbles, whatever, or they get angry, act out, and they use a gun. You get to choose what you take as the truth and how you're going to deal with it. And I respect people for their ideas about nonviolence and stuff like that. That's totally their choice. But to blanket that across all swaths of this nation and say that it's our gun laws and this and that, and we should be, assault weapons, this or that. You have to understand a couple things about what you're saying to everyone about your opinion. You are stating that your opinion rules. You should be the litmus test for the authority in what it is that other people should be able to do. That's what you're saying with that. So you're taking the responsibility for other people's families, other people's loved ones upon yourself, and stating that you have the best opinion and you have the right way. Well, to address evil at its same level and then a level above. This is what police they do. They've got a certain object in their hand. Police can use another object. If they've got another object, they've got a different tool, the police will use their tool. It's a means and methods of acceleration, and then and how the step actually works out. So I want you to understand this, okay? If you're not willing to look at the world as having evil and having evil people in it, then you're basically are a target in waiting. And you'll be the one that's surprised. You'll wonder, how could this happen to me or whatever. And I'm not saying that that people who are victims are that's their fault. I'm not saying that. What I am saying though is, if you know that it's out there, why not do something for yourself to make sure that you're good? Because you understand that police, it's still going to take them a minute to get to you in case an incident happens. Like, why not? There's a meme that I saw the other day that had a picture of the United States and every state that allows for people to conceal carry, and then it says at the bottom of it, it says it had the same picture, but it had all the states colored in, and it said all the states who aren't scared little bees that will carry no matter what. And it made me laugh because, in truth, there's people out there all over this nation, whether they've got a permit or not, who carry because they understand. Now, I'm going to advocate for you to obey the law. I will always advocate for you to do that. But just understand that when you see Asians being attacked, Asian women being attacked, Asians in general being attacked, when you see black females in the inner city being attacked, when you see white females or white men being attacked, and when you see little kids and little boys and little girls at schools being attacked, and you're wondering, well, why isn't somebody doing something? You have to understand that there's a point where you take your safety into your own hands. And some of you are afraid to do that. I get it. But there comes a point where it's like, if you're not willing to take it into your own hands, I mean, you're opening yourself up to a whole bunch of bad things. And see, what's happening right now is, for all of a sudden, okay, that one of the Democrat points that they wanted to basically take care of was gun control. And I've got the people who think that gun control legislation is the way to go when they don't even know the dang laws. You don't know the laws. You don't know that they're actually. I mean, you go to Colorado. What are the laws in Colorado? Every single thing that these people are advocating for is already existing in Colorado, but you don't know that because you only know the talking points of your own side and your ignorance. Your ignorance tells you, well, the best way to do this is by getting rid of high capacity magazines, getting rid of, assault style weapons, getting rid of, all the black weapons. Like I told you before, I think that that's totally racist. All the black weapons are scary, not the ones that have wood grain on them. The black ones are scary. Well, your ignorance shows by you're not even knowing what the laws actually are across the nation. If you're going to make the blanket statements, you should know what's actually legislated, what's in the law for all these different states, especially Colorado, which actually has all these different things already on the books. So if you don't know that, but then you make the blanket statements, well, they should do deeper background checks, they should do smaller magazines, they should do, you don't even sound like you know what you're talking about, because these things already exist. But see, the laws don't change anything. This is what you, like, most of you people ignored with Fast and Furious. You ignored that we were giving, you ignored the whole circumstance of what was actually happening, what our government under Barack Obama was actually doing. You ignored that. You ignore the fact that if people are actually trained to use their firearm and are able to carry on their own, that they won't have to wait for the police, that they won't have to. And here's what's so weird about this. Are you scared that the weapon's going to go off on its own or something? Are you scared that guns they just look scary? Or is it the loud noise? I just don't get it. So you're for background checks, but you don't understand how the background checks actually work. Really, if you don't even own a weapon, you have no clue how the background checks actually work. You don't know what you actually go through for a 10-day waiting period. You don't understand what you go through to have access to the weapon. A lot of people actually found that out when all the riots were happening this last year, how hard it is actually to get a weapon here in California. But you'll talk about what background checks and the things that you need without even having ever gone through the process. So you're speaking from ignorance. And I won't talk smack. I'll just say you're speaking from ignorance. You don't know what you're talking about. And most people who are gun rights advocates who actually, go through the process, they're Democrat and Republican. They understand the need for weapons in the hands of citizens. And then you got this stupid, goofy, completely unintelligent academic intellectual idiots. They'll talk about, well, this was made for muskets. It was made for, seriously? Do you guys understand how dumb you sound? Military grade weapon. Do you understand what you're saying? These are just catchphrases that you've learned from your own pundits in your philosophically debased and completely void of intelligent conversation about weapons. You guys sound like goofballs, but you don't know it because you're so intelligent. You don't even know what you're talking about. And it really is irritating. Because you're pitting a broad swath across this entire nation. And this is what I want to ask you, okay? For all the guns that are in the United States, if this is a gun issue for the millions of weapons that are out there, why are not the millions of weapons being used all the time against the average citizen? Why not? Why are the people who are responsible gun owners, why are they at fault for your timidity? Why are they at fault for the things that happen by these crazy ass people that you either let that kid that did that whole thing in the high schools in Florida? Obama administration knew about it. FBI knew about this jackhole in Colorado. Guess what? The FBI is not doing its damn job. Okay, so you're blaming the dang gun. You're blaming the average citizen without looking at law enforcement for what they should be doing. Instead, you're looking at us as if we're the culprits. When in reality, it's incompetence within the government that's the culprit. It's not the laws. The laws, there's so many freaking laws, it's ridiculous. But it's incompetence within the governments that you guys aren't paying attention to. They're trying to change the nation. And anytime you talk about gun regulations and that type of thing, you're speaking as a communist for that, because the communists are seeking to do that. They're seeking to use this method of disarming the public so that the government can take over the average citizen. We're not a communist government and society. That's not what we are. But if you think these things because you've been so trained and brainwashed to think that weapons are the issue, when you're really not taking into account that people people are accountable to themselves in their own actions, you're not taking these things into account. You're basically scapegoating the wrong thing. You're making it's a dumb argument. So whenever like there's a mass shooting, you have a Democrat, run whatever, you guys always do the same exact freaking thing, and it sounds dumb. It just sounds dumb. But I'm gonna tell you this, okay? As an individual who I believe fully in the Second Amendment, you people who are virtue signaling, talking about we need to get rid of this and that gun, you leave black women freaking open to people who do have guns. You can't ban guns from criminals. Like, are you freaking serious? You can't ban guns. You can't. People will have access to guns no matter where they're at. So banning the weapons from people who are law-abiding citizens, it does a disservice to society. So what do you actually do? You make it mainstream to teach people how to use weapons. That's what you do. Instead of trying to regulate the average American, you basically give people an incentive to learn how to protect themselves. That's what you do. But instead, y'all want to run around talking about you need to ban freaking guns and assault weapons, and you don't even know what a dang assault weapon actually is. It's a freaking catchphrase. So I'm saying this to you because the people out there who need to protect themselves, you leave them open with your virtue signal about guns. People need to protect themselves. And you can't take a freaking, baseball bat to a gunfight. There's a gunfight going on. And you're trying to ban the guns from people who will not even listen to your laws. They won't listen to your ban. They'll go into your gun-free zones and kill your freaking kids. This is who these people are. Because there's evil in the world. And evil needs to be matched and then freaking upped. Because people like me will do whatever the hell they can to actually protect people. Because that's just who we are. My wife knows, you guys know, you can see what I wear. I wear freaking Dickie shirts and blue jeans and freaking work boots. It's like my uniform. But my wife knows if I'm going to spend money, it's on a freaking gun, dude. She knows that. And I'm speaking just out of, seriously here. These things are not like toys. But what they are tools that you use to protect yourself and your family. And if you've ever debated about it, I want to advocate for you to take the step and go through the process so you know what it looks like, how it feels. First off, to shoot a weapon, go to a gun range, buy some lead, shoot a 357, shoot a 40, shoot a 380, shoot a rifle, shoot a something that shoots a 5.56, a 300, shoot a 308, shoot something, shoot a 7.62, shoot something. And then purchase the weapon that feels best in your hand. Don't get a dang 22 though. Don't get a freaking 22, man. Get someone that's over a 3 if it's a handgun, over a 4 if it's a handgun, over a 3 if it's a rifle. Do that, please. Okay. But make sure that just try it out. Instead of sitting on the corner saying that you're scared of this, take a step to actually just follow through, see what it feels like, and then protect yourself. Because believe me, if somebody brings a gun and you've got a baseball bat, that gun's going to win. And you don't want to be at the receiving end of that. I will not do that to my wife. My wife knows that for certain. And I don't want that for you as well, too. And I'd say this just seriously. People are complaining about violence against Asians, violence against women, violence against black people. All of a sudden, all lives matter when before it was just black lives matter. No, all lives do matter. Everybody should have the right to protect themselves, which is a part of our Constitution, our Second Amendment. And if you want to degrade it and talk smack about it without ever understanding what it's actually there for, it just as a means of protection, and you misstate statistics around the world about different nations and this and that, having no clue what you're talking about, you basically become the problem. I don't want you to be a victim, and I'm sure as hell ain't gonna be no damn victim. So I'm saying this to you because I take this stuff seriously, because I don't want you to be a victim. But I also want you to not look at us, people who are advocates for the Second Amendment, as if we're the villains. People all around this nation have weapons and we don't use them ever. But we have them because we know that there's evil out there and they will use them. That's why we got them. Take care.